Some people talk about success. Before they achieve anything, they want attention, validation, recognition. They show off every small victory, hoping the world will admire them. But truly dangerous people move differently. They stay quiet. They let others underestimate them. And while everyone else is busy trying to look successful, they're silently building a life nobody can stop.
And stay close, because the next story may reveal the dangerous habit keeping millions of people poor without them ever realizing it. Thank you for watching. Your next level.
This is the story of a young man everyone laughed at until they realized he was the smartest person in the room. In a wealthy kingdom surrounded by mountains and rivers, there lived a respected royal advisor named Darius. Darius was known throughout the kingdom as one of the wisest men alive. Kings trusted him. Merchants feared negotiating against him. Even generals listened carefully when he spoke. But despite all his wisdom, there was one thing people constantly mocked him for: his son. The boy's name was Elias. Unlike other young men in the kingdom, Elias was quiet, too quiet. He did not boast, did not argue, did not seek attention. And because of that, people assumed he was weak. At royal gatherings, young nobles laughed at him, the son of a genius, but no intelligence of his own. Others mocked his silence. He never speaks because he has nothing worth saying. Some even pitied Darius. Such a brilliant father, such a disappointing son. But Darius never defended him. He simply listened quietly and watched. The game begins. One afternoon, the king invited Elias to the royal court. The entire palace gathered to watch. The king placed 2 coins on the table, 1 gold, 1 silver. The gold coin was worth 10 times more. Everyone knew it instantly. The king smiled. Elias, choose. The room became silent. Elias looked carefully at both coins. Then, to everyone's surprise, he picked the silver coin. The entire court exploded with laughter. Some nobles nearly fell from their chairs. He truly is a fool. Even the king laughed. Every person in the room thought the same thing. The boy was stupid. The king repeated the game the next day. Again, Elias chose silver. More laughter. More humiliation. Again the next day. Silver. Again. Silver. Again. Silver. Soon, the entire kingdom heard about the advisor's foolish son. People traveled from nearby villages just to watch the spectacle. Each day, they laughed harder, and each day, Elias quietly took the silver coin. The secret humiliation. At first, the insults did not bother him, but over time, the humiliation became unbearable. Children mocked him in the streets. Merchants smirked when he walked by. Even servants whispered behind his back. One evening, Elias sat alone beside the palace garden fountain. For the first time, his calm expression cracked. He looked toward his father. "Why won't you tell them the truth?" Darius remained silent. Elias clenched his fists. "They think I'm stupid." The old advisor finally spoke. "And are you?" Elias looked down. "No." Darius nodded slowly. "Then why does their opinion disturb you so much?" Silence filled the air. The old man continued calmly. "Most people would rather look intelligent than become successful." Elias listened carefully. Their need for recognition controls them. That is why they cannot think long-term. The fountain water moved softly under moonlight. Darius looked directly into his son's eyes. Never interrupt your enemy while they underestimate you. The difference between ego and strategy. The next morning, Elias returned to the royal court. Again, the king placed the gold and silver coins before him. Again, the entire palace watched eagerly. Again, Elias chose silver. The laughter became deafening. But this time, something inside Elias had changed. For the first time, he was not embarrassed. He was observing. The nobles laughing loudest were drowning in debt. The merchants mocking him were desperate for approval. The men showing off expensive clothes were secretly competing with one another constantly. Everyone in that room was addicted to appearances. And suddenly, Elias understood something powerful. People who constantly need attention rarely build real power, because real power requires patience, discipline, silence, long-term thinking. The king smiled arrogantly. "You disappoint me again, Elias." But Elias simply bowed politely and took another silver coin. The dangerous power of silence. As months passed, the game continued. Every single day. Silver, silver, silver. And slowly, something strange began happening. While the kingdom laughed, Elias quietly accumulated wealth. Not massive wealth, but consistent wealth. Steady wealth. Predictable wealth. Meanwhile, others remained trapped in endless competition, trying to impress each other, trying to appear important, trying to look rich, trying to prove themselves constantly. One evening, Darius brought Elias to the marketplace. The streets were filled with loud men bragging about their achievements. One merchant shouted, "I will soon own half this city." Another yelled, "Everyone will know my name. I." Darius smiled faintly, then pointed toward an old shopkeeper quietly closing his small store. "Do you see him?" Elias nodded. "That man has more wealth than everyone here combined." Elias looked surprised. "Then why does nobody talk about him?" Darius smiled. "Because truly successful people are often too busy building to constantly announce what they are building." The psychology of showing off. Over time, Elias began understanding human nature deeply. People show off for one reason: insecurity. The louder someone needs recognition, the emptier they often feel inside. Some people buy luxury, not for themselves, but for attention. Some speak loudly, because silence reveals their weakness. Some constantly post victories, because they need the world to validate them. But peaceful people, people truly confident in themselves, move differently. They do not rush to prove their value, because they already know it. One night, Elias asked his father, "Why do people care so much about appearances?" Darius looked toward the stars. "Because appearances create quick admiration. Real success takes time." Then he added quietly, "Most people sacrifice long-term peace for short-term attention." Those words stayed in Elias's mind forever. The turning point. One afternoon, the king decided to embarrass Elias publicly once and for all. The royal court was packed with nobles, merchants, soldiers, and visitors from distant lands. The king raised his voice dramatically. Today, we will finally discover whether Elias is truly a fool. The room erupted with laughter. The king placed the 2 coins on the table again. Gold, silver. Then he smiled proudly. Choose. Everyone leaned forward, some already laughing before he touched the coins. Elias looked at both carefully. Then he picked silver. The entire palace exploded. People laughed louder than ever before. But suddenly, Elias spoke. For the first time in years, the room slowly became silent. Elias looked calmly toward the king. "Your Majesty, may I ask a question?" The king smirked. "Go ahead." Elias held up the silver coin. "If I had chosen gold the first day, would this game have continued?" The king's smile faded slightly. Silence spread through the court. Elias continued calmly. "Every day, you gave me silver because you believed I was foolish. And every day, your laughter made you predictable." The palace became completely silent. Elias looked around the room slowly. "You laughed at me for taking silver, while I quietly collected wealth from your arrogance." Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. And suddenly, the people realized something horrifying. The fool had never been Elias. The moment everything changed. For several seconds, the royal court stood frozen in silence. Then, slowly, the king began laughing. But this time, it was different. Not mocking, respectful. The king stood from his throne, walked toward Elias, and placed the gold coin directly into his hand. "You understand something most people never will," he said quietly. The nobles lowered their eyes in embarrassment, because suddenly, their own behavior became visible to them. Their arrogance, their need for attention, their obsession with appearances, all exposed by a quiet young man they once mocked. Darius watched silently from across the room, pride hidden behind calm eyes. Because this had never been about coins. It had always been about wisdom. The wisdom to think long-term. The wisdom to remain emotionally controlled. The wisdom to let people underestimate you, while you quietly build your future. The deeper lesson. Years later, Elias became one of the kingdom's most respected leaders. But unlike others in power, he never changed. He still dressed simply, still spoke calmly, still avoided unnecessary attention. And strangely, that made people trust him even more. One evening, a young man approached Elias and asked, "How did you become so successful?" Elias smiled faintly, then answered quietly, "By learning that attention and achievement are not the same thing." The young man listened carefully. Elias continued, "Many people waste their entire lives performing success, instead of building it." He looked toward the city lights. Real growth often happens in silence. Quiet mornings, lonely nights, invisible discipline, unseen sacrifices. Then he added, "Most people quit because nobody applauds them early enough." The wind moved softly through the night air, but the strongest people learn how to continue without applause. The world today. Today, the world is louder than ever. Everyone is trying to be seen, trying to go viral, trying to impress strangers, trying to appear successful online. People announce goals before achieving them, post luxury they cannot afford, compete for attention endlessly, and slowly, they become addicted to validation. But quiet people, dangerous people, move differently. While others talk, they study. While others show off, they build. While others seek attention, they develop discipline. And one day, their results speak so loudly, they no longer need to. Final lesson. Maybe you've been trying too hard to prove yourself too, trying to make people respect you, trying to show everyone your progress, trying to convince the world you matter. But real confidence does not beg for attention, and real success does not need constant witnesses, because the most powerful growth in life usually happens quietly, in silence, in discipline, in patience, while nobody is clapping. So let them underestimate you. Let them laugh. Let them think you are behind. Keep learning quietly. Keep building quietly. Keep winning quietly. Because someday, while they are still trying to look successful, you will already be living the life they only pretend to have. If this story changed the way you see success, subscribe to the channel. This is where we learn. Discipline over ego. Peace over validation. Wisdom over attention. And remember, the loudest people in the room are rarely the strongest.
And stay close, because the next story may reveal the dangerous habit keeping millions of people poor without them ever realizing it. Thank you for watching. Your next level.